Your game looks awesome and your to-do list is complete. Does this mean that you're done with Bullseye? Not so fast. Remember the info button at the bottom right corner of the screen? Well, if you tap it right now, it turns out it does nothing. Oops. It looks like we forgot to add any functionality to that button. It's time to rectify that by adding an About screen to the game. It'll appear whenever the player presses info. Here's what it will look like at the end. Most apps, even very simple ones like Bullseye, have more than one screen. This is as good of a time as any to learn how to add additional screens to your apps. Remember back from the episode on SwiftUI views that the term view can refer to any element on a screen in the app, including the screen itself. Views can contain other views, and the screen is a view that contains all of the views on that screen. Content view is the name that Xcode assigns to the single view, or screen, when it creates a single view app. When Xcode created it, it also created the file that contains it, contentview.swift. Xcode makes it easy to create additional views and their containing files. Let's give this a try. Okay, so we're back in Bullseye, and this time we're going to create a new file. So we're going to go to File, New File, and we're going to select with the template, we want iOS, User Interface, SwiftUI View Template, and click Next. And we're going to name this About View.Swift, and we're going to make sure that we've checked the option for that it's in the Bullseye target, and click Create. We have an automatic update here. So if I click preview, it shows us, but you know what? It's still doing it in the default portrait orientation. So I'm going to go back to our contentview.swift and add this little bit of code that we added earlier to make it go in landscape. And I'm going to put that inside the preview here as well. So now we can see a little bit easier what we're doing here. Now we have like another screen of the app, and we can create this the same exact way that you learned how to create the interface for the first screen of Bullseye. We're just repeating these same ideas. So first, let me fix my spacing. And again, 2 spaces, just a personal preference of mine. You can use what you like. So we're going to create a VStack with a bunch of text labels inside that talk about how the app works and so on. Okay, so for this first line, instead of saying hello world, we're going to put some text that says Bullseye. But to make it a little fun, let's insert an emoji for Bullseye. So if you do Command Control Space on the Mac, you can bring up the emoji viewer, and you can kind of scroll through here. We have smileys and people, animals and nature, food and drink, and activity. And if you select activity and scroll down a bit, there's something that looks just like a bullseye. So we're going to use that to be fun. So bullseye, and let me just copy that so I can use it again. And now we're going to include a few more text labels to talk about the instructions of the app. So the first one will say, this is Bullseye, the game where you can win points and earn fame by dragging a slider. And I'll just repeat this for the other 2 lines. Okay, so I'm going to refresh my view here. And you can see we have a very basic screen here that just lists out the instructions for the app. Now that we've created a new view, how can we make it show up when the user taps the info button? One way to do this is through a special view in SwiftUI called the navigation view. The navigation view's job is to display a hierarchy of views and to make it easy to go back to where you came from. By default, the navigation view comes with a navigation bar at the top of the screen that displays the name of the current view, and if it's not the first view in the stack, it also has a back button so the user can easily get back to the previous view in the stack. Let's see how to create a navigation view, how to set your content view as the first view in the stack, and how to set the title that appears in the navigation bar. Okay, next open up scenedelegate.swift. This file is responsible for what happens when your app starts up. You don't need to understand every line of this right now, but there is one particular thing I want to point out. Look at this line right here. There's even a helpful comment here. It says, create the SwiftUI view that provides the window contents. So this means whatever we set here is going to be the first view that appears in the app. And right now it's set to content view. So that's how that's all tied together. So what we want to do instead is rather than a plain old content view, we want to embed the content view within a navigation view. And so what we can do here is say navigation view that's going to contain a content view. And while we're at it, we're going to call a method on here, and we're going to call navigation view style, and we're going to call stack navigation view style. And that sets it up to present the views in a stack, kind of like a stack of cards like we want. There's one more thing I want to do before I build and run. So if we go back to content view.swift, and if you go to the end of your body method here where we're setting the accent color in the background and all that, we're going to go ahead and call one more method to set the navigation bar title to bullseye. All right, we're going to build and run. All right, you can now see that there's a navigation bar on the app that says bullseye. At this point, you've created a navigation view that has a single view in its stack, your content view, and that contains the main user interface for bullseye. But how can you push your about view onto the top of the stack? Well, you do this through an alternative to button called navigation link. Basically, a navigation link works just like a button, but when you tap it, it will display a new view in the navigation view. The navigation view will then automatically add a back button to the navigation bar so that the user can easily get back to where they came from. Let's try this out. Okay, we're back in Bullseye. Let's find that info button. Here it is. So really all we need to do is replace the info button here with a navigation link. And the way we do this is I'm going to delete this navigation link, and we're going to say destination is about view. And then we put everything that used to be inside the button there instead. So when you click the info button, which is this guy down here, it's going to create a new view, which is the about view, and present that to the screen inside the navigation view. And right before we do this, the last thing I want to do is going back to this VStack here, let's set a navigation bar title of that guy as well. So we're going to set a navigation bar title of this guy to about bullseye. Okay, now I'm going to build and run. I'm going to tap the info button, and here we go. We're on a new screen of the app, and because it's in a navigation controller, it's helpfully given us a back button by default, which we can tap to get back to where we came from. Nice.